The amount of leverage you have right now as a buyer is absolutely incredible. You have to listen to this.
Is it a good time to buy?
Right now, leverages wise, we have a lot of different things. We have repairs, appraisal, and the seller. And the only reason why we set it up that way is because
if you just got declined by trying to buy a house by a lender, this information right here might be for you.
So what would you say right now is, if you were a buyer and you're out there in the market, what would you say is your biggest leverage piece that you could?
Leverages. There's a lot of them. So I'm comparing to like 2 or 3 years ago even, where we couldn't get any repairs done. The appraisal would come in short, and the sellers were not budging because they had 4 or 5 other offers behind.
Or more.
Or more.
Yeah. Or more.
Yeah. And where you would have competition on the cash side, like you'd have cash buyers paying over the appraised value. And so whenever you were trying to buy the home you wanted, you couldn't. And so right now, leverages wise, we have a lot of different things. We have repairs. So a lot of sellers are budging on repairs, which is very helpful. You guys have seen that, right? Appraisal. Like we just had an appraisal that came in $34,000 lower, and the seller snapped and said, okay, they bridged the gap, and now the client's monthly payments are $200 a month cheaper.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty incredible.
That did not happen 3 or 4 years ago. I remember we would put a listing up on Thursday and prepare for an open house on Saturday, and we couldn't ever get to Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because we would have, if it was priced anyway, actually, I will say that, the inventory was so low. And many people were migrating down to Florida that we would just put a property up, and people were coming out of the woodworks to purchase them. And that is a different scenario today because we have more inventory, right? So now the builders have caught up. There's a lot more inventory out there. There's a lot more people wanting to sell. So we're seeing higher days on market. And basically from our world, higher days on market means that we, as buyers, when we're working with our buyers, these conversations become much easier than they did before, because before we would write sometimes 5, 6 offers. Because if they weren't strong buyers, like for example, if you were buying FHA at the time, and you're going into a competition with 8 or 12 other people, unfortunately, they unless they were way above, they weren't winning. So it was cash all day. We were getting cash done all day. I had one particular listing where someone paid, this was insane, $100,000 over ask, because it was just acreage with a gorgeous home. It was like a modern farmhouse, and that was their forever home. And I said, do you understand? You're not going to get your equity out anytime soon. He said, that's fine. It's my forever home. He was good with it.
But what you just said is 100%. You're not going to get your equity out anytime soon. Mm-hmm. The whole concept of any time to buy, the longer you wait, it's going to turn around. And just go back in history and look at our parents and our grandparents bought homes. And what were the rates back when our parents bought a home?
They were like in the 17s, 18s.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh no, we're going to wait for the rate to come down. I mean, we're not going to get that COVID rate again. If we do, it's a bad thing. And that means the home prices have went through the roof. So, we're still in a good shape.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like in 2015, I remember I was new to the business when I came in, and there would be some investors who would be purchasing homes at 5.5%, 6.5%. I'd be like, these guys are crazy. Like they're paying so much interest. And they continue to buy and buy and buy. And of course, their net worth portfolio keeps climbing, and I just don't understand. So at the end of the day, it's having clarity on the numbers, making sure you feel comfortable with the monthly budget, because that's really all that matters at the end of the day. And also making sure, if that's on the investment side, that you cash flow enough per door, right? So
because you want, ideally, right, we want to be covering the expenses, meeting your tax, your insurance, your payments. You have to have a little bit left over because there's the unforeseen that could have happened. And so you have to make sure that you have enough in that investment that it's, 1, going to pay for itself, and 2, there's money there for anything that may pop up. So what are you seeing right now as far as an investment standpoint? Because you're looking for an investment property, right?
Yeah.
And so are we. This is the time, guys. So if you've been sitting there thinking, is this the right time? Should we, shouldn't we? It really is. And here's why: because prices are pretty stable. People are saying rates are a little bit higher. You know what? They're not really that high. They're higher than COVID, but that wasn't a real rate.
Correct.
Right? So
that was not normal.
People are maybe waiting for that to come back. It's not a real rate. It's not going to come back, I don't think.
Yeah.
So this is the time.
We hope not. Not for what happened to make the rate go that low.
Yeah. So this is a great opportunity, as we were talking about, as a buyer, because with more inventory, we get to go out there and, 1, have more inventory to review, but 2, we get to negotiate. and that's what we're here to do is to help you get the most bang for your buck as a team. And Charles's job is to tell us like where we stand. Is this a good financial decision for us? Because everybody is different. Everybody has different commitments in life, right? Do you paying child support? Or do you have a lot of commitment in your business? So it's different for everybody. But the one thing I can tell you for sure is, wherever you're not investing, somebody else is, and taking up those opportunities that could be for us. So we're actively looking. In fact, yesterday I was out looking. Day before I was out looking. Charles has been looking. Tell me, what do you like to invest in?
Yes, great question. And by the way, if you don't believe what we're saying, at least believe what we're doing. Like if we're looking to invest ourselves, then if you don't believe everything we're just saying, then I guess just mimic what we're doing, because we're continuing to buy homes. So what we're looking for right now is we're more of a long-term holders, Chelsea and I, and we want multi-units. So we've been looking mainly into duplexes and triplexes, or a single family with a mother-in-law suite. So we have some type of opportunity for rental on the front and the back. And it's been doing great for us. We look in specific areas because we want to be close to the property, so we can continue to do a few drive-bys. Maintenance is easier. We have all our main people, maintenance-wise, that we trust. So we've been looking mainly Lakeland duplexes, and I tell Daniela and Justino all the time, like, hey, if you find one, let me know, because that's what I'm looking to purchase.
There's actually a couple good ones in Lakeland I saw.
So we need to talk a little bit about this off camera, because I don't want you guys to steal the deals. Don't be stealing the deals now.
Yeah, but I think it's just, once you kind of get it on your radar and you really get zoned in. So there's a couple steps that need to be done before that, by the way, right? So you want to, before you find your property, and then you have to go back and say, how do I buy this? And now you may lose a great opportunity, because investors are out there trolling every single day looking for these opportunities, and some of them are cash. So that doesn't mean you still wouldn't be in the running, but it means that time is of the essence. So being able to be ready to buy when you find that property. If you're deciding that you're going to put that property in an LLC, you want to make sure that that's already in motion as well, if that's how you're purchasing.
That's a good point.
Depending on how you're structuring it. But it kind of starts once again with conversation, right? So reaching out, having conversations with us, dialogue about what your vision is, what you're looking for, so that we can start to keep our eyes open. But then the next step is talking to Charles, so that he can prep you and tell you what you should be doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people decide, hey, I'm not going to talk to Charles or anybody on his team just yet, because we're not ready.
Yeah, or until I find it.
Until I find it, yeah. Like, I'm not ready. It might be in the next 6 months. It might be in the next 12 months. Well, the crazy part is, let's say we look at everything and it looks spick and span, everything is super easy, then great. Now you have green light to, if we need to pull trigger really quickly and you find the house and you put an offer in right away, you can literally make one phone call. And you have that person on the other side, I'm sending it over to you in 5 minutes. So you don't lose any time. But if it's the first time we're discussing, and we need to get some documentation, and then you have to find your tax return from 2023. You're like, where the heck is that? It takes some time to go through that. And if there are some issues or some credit repair that can be done, that can be the difference between you cash flowing $400 a month or you cash flowing $470 a month because the credit score is a little bit higher. Those are all conversations we need to have ahead of time. Like, we can't just make a decision on the spot, right? So
for sure. Yeah, those are all valid points. And I think it's just stuff people, one, you don't know what you don't know. And two, if no one has these conversations and you don't educate people, and things change all the time, by the way. Nothing is cookie cutter. There's always new programs coming in. There's new things that change. Just the difference between investing like an Airbnb platform versus, a flip versus something that you're going to hold long term. There's all different ways. So it's not just one size fits all.
Yeah. I was going to say, what do you guys think about Airbnb versus long-term rental? Like, do you have a preference? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I like the long-term rental just because it's not so chaos. I know that there could be potentially more money in the Airbnb, but I like the stability of the long-term rental. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think it depends. It's area specific. What I'm starting to see right now, a little bit of a slowdown in that Airbnb world, because especially on the bigger homes. So if we're talking about anything between 6 and 8 bedrooms up to about 11 bedrooms, those highly themed projects up in the Orlando area, Reunion, Champions Gate, that little hub. We do a lot of properties out there. And what we're starting to see is a lot more is coming on market. So not good or bad, because it depends on what your long-term
For sure.
investment is. So if you're thinking about purchasing that and getting it at a good price now would be a great time.
For sure.
And then your vision has to be a little bit further out. So you want to be able to be in the position to hold it longer, because yes, that's going to be a higher return, but you're going to have times where we have seasonality here in Florida, right? So
For sure.
so we have peaks. So our summer things surge. We sell a lot of real estate. I guess we're kind of lucky because and then even wintertime, we have like this snowbirds coming down, and there's still momentum. There's like little pockets, maybe like October, November, I see a little slowdown with me. So I guess it depends on your temperament. So if you want a quick return on investment, or do you want a long term investment? And that's how I don't think that anyone is good or bad. I think they're different. And I think if you want an easier investment, go for the long term. Because once you vet your renters and you get them in there, and it's pretty much plug and play, as long as you have a good solid property that you can see is not going to give you a bunch of heartburn, which some of them might, but for the most part, that's going to be a little bit easier. But the short-term rental, like I said, really lucrative. Just depends on what you're looking to do.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, I feel like the short-term rental is higher cost to maintain the turnaround. You have to always have someone coming out to clean. And then, like you said, that you have ebbs and flow, like it kind of goes up and down depending on the season. I feel like you need to have a little bit more money set aside because of those fluctuations. Like, because you could have a couple months where the numbers are a lot lower, and now you still have your mortgage to make your payments on. We have a structure, Chelsea and I, on one of our duplexes, and the only reason why we set it up that way is because it just made more sense for us. So we have one side of the duplex that's long-term rental. So we kind of did a hybrid, and the other side is an Airbnb.
Okay.
And the reason why we did Airbnb on the other side is because we needed a spot. My parents are originally from Quebec City, up in Canada.
Oh, that's perfect, because then your parents can stay there.
Exactly. So then we can kind of freeze it 2 to 3 months out of the year, right? So then they get to stay down here, and they don't use the excuse of, hey, we can't come see you because it's too expensive. Guess what? It's paid for.
Yeah.
And then the other 9 other months of the year, then we just do the short-term rental, which kind of helps offset the fact that I didn't rent it out for 2 or 3 months, right?
Yeah, and that's a perfect little match, however you want to put that. And I think that also, depending on the area you're in, right? Because
For sure.
Airbnb has some pockets that really thrive. Lakeland is big city, right? So there's going to be people that want to be here. But if you're like in a little small town, maybe that's not going to be as appealing as doing a long term. It just depends on your area.
For sure.
Another thing to talk about with doing the short-term rental as a homeowner, I'm sure you found this too a little bit. Well, maybe not because it's your parents, but people who are renting those types of homes are here to have fun. They're on vacation. They're with their families. They're in party mode. Or they have a lot of children who tend to have different sets of rules for a vacation home than their own home. So what you see is that there's more maintenance involved, not just the turnover maintenance, but there's also more
repairs.
painting, repairs. There's been many times I walked in and seen like crayons all over walls and all kinds of fun stuff. But again, if you can kind of look at that investment and say, you know what, but this is how much we can get for that. And who cares if we just paint it a little bit?
Yeah.
That's okay. So it really depends from person to person, I think. So I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I think the wrong answer is do nothing.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
And for those of you who don't get along with your in-laws, you can just flip it the other way and say, no, it's fully booked. You can't come down.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
This channel is not sponsored by anybody. We're sponsored ourselves. So do us a favor and please hit like on this video and subscribe so we can keep you updated as the laws change, as the rates change, and give you better advice on your future purchases.